This Klondike Road is not in Canada or the Yukon. This is an hour from Auckland on the banks of the Waikato River. The first time I saw it, I drove it because of the name and I wanted to see if there was any similarity. It's a logging road, it's 19 kilometers long, and you could probably do it in an hour or two with a few stops to look at the scenery and take some photographs. It serves commercial forests. There are a few farms but not many, and on a weekend it's unlikely you're going to see any traffic other than possibly some adventure motorbikes and maybe a local or two. I've never seen a mountain bike on the road, and on the weekend I've never ever seen a logging truck. But it's a pretty route and it's something for you to do on the weekend, and it's not far from Auckland. Could do a detour to Murray Road. It's on the banks of the Waikato, and there's some shacks on the river and people look for whitebait. But it's quite pretty, and also depending when you're there are spots where you could stop and have a picnic. So here we are on the banks of the Waikato River. The Waikato River starts at Ruapehu. The Waikato River enters the sea at Port Waikato. Port Waikato is quite an interesting place. After the New Zealand Wars, Port Waikato was first developed in 1863, I believe. There's a little store there called the Wharf Store, which you'll see in the video. And the Wharf Store was started, I believe, in 1883. So it's quite an old community. I'm Greg van der Reis. I've been leading expeditions and driving 4x4s in Africa for almost 40 years. Join me as I explore my new home country of New Zealand. When you get to the turnoff to the Klondike Road, there's a place to pull over on the left and you can get a photograph of yourself standing underneath the Klondike sign if you so wish. You've then got about 1 kilometer of tar, and then the road becomes unpaved. I was there in the transition between rainy season and semi-dry season, and the road was in excellent condition and there was no evidence of logging trucks. There's a lot of derelict and abandoned buildings, so if that's your thing, you can stop and get some photographs. The road is narrow in places, but there's always somewhere to pull over. We drove it on a Saturday. It's 19 kilometers long and we passed a total of 1 vehicle. So other traffic is not an issue. The road is obviously both directions, so you could have vehicles or motorbikes coming towards you. There are places to pull over and take photographs or just look at the view. And pulling up here, we could see the Waikato River and the general view and scenery, I guess. As I say, you can see the trees have been felled. So this was a bit of a surprise and some fun. We'd been driving probably about 8 kilometers along the road, lots of little stones, and all of a sudden there was this horrible squeal, like you're rubbing your fingernails up and down the blackboard. So I pulled over, looked and looked and looked without having to take the wheel off. I couldn't find the stone, so eventually I took the wheel off. Took, I don't know, 5 minutes, and I found a tiny little stone stuck between the discs of the brake and the cover plate. So I eventually managed to get the stone out, put the wheel back on, and got going. You've descended the mountain, it's a short distance to the tar road. When you get to the tar road, there's a spot where you can pull over and inflate your tires. From there, if you turn left to go to Port Waikato, it's a short distance and you'll see a boat ramp on the right hand side. I often stop at the boat ramp and take photographs. There's some nice opportunities if the tide is right. A little bit further there's a general dealer. At the general dealer you can get basic supplies, and on my last stop they had coffee, but it was instant coffee. This view on Google Earth shows you where the Port Waikato wharf store is. Once you've left the wharf store, the road bends to the right, and on the top of the hill there's a pull-off on the right hand side and there's a public toilet. If you carry on, you turn right to go to Port Waikato, and a little further you'll notice a road called Klondike Road. You can turn right there, and from there there's another toilet on the left hand side, and from there you can get onto the dunes. There's a spot up ahead where you can pull over, as I've indicated, deflate your tires, and then there's a number of tracks that will lead you onto the dunes. Again, you must know what you're doing. If you get the tide wrong, you can get your car drowned.